Okay, so great. Thank you again. I'm going to be very, very brief because the topic is huge. And, I'm going to focus more on VC funding, startups. What do VCs look at? What should you do when you go to VC? All the secrets which no one ever told you, I will tell you. Or how to approach a VC. What do people like me, we look devilish. We are not. We are called angels. We are not. We are somewhere in between angel and devil. But hopefully, by the end of this session, you will get some flavor of what we do. Uh, so a startup, I want to make this distinction. People sometimes say, no, I'm an entrepreneur. What is this, all this special attention to startup? A startup is a company which is designed to grow rapidly. It has to be designed to grow rapidly. It's a big difference. It is not just any business you have. Startup by itself is always grows very rapidly. I'll play this video. Hopefully you can see it. Then I will explain to you who this person is. Can you hear the video audio also?
Just play it maybe for a second.
Okay, one minute.
I don't think audio nahi sunai de raha hai. We're not able to hear the audio.
No, we are not able to hear the audio.
Yes.
See, otherwise I will not play it. It's not an issue. I'll just explain to you.
Huh. Okay.
Just see. Can you hear?
Yes, it's very, very low. I don't know why is the audio so low. Is there a because your audio is very clear, Ninad, but when you are putting the video, the audio is not clear at all.
Yeah.
Let me check if there's any setting on my side.
Stainless steel blades and aloe vera lubricant.
Okay.
Little better, but very low.
Okay, I think it's just a 1 minute one, and I'll just play it and then I'll explain to you.
Yes.
Strip and a pivot head. So gentle a toddler. Do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. Do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome ass grandfather had one blade and polio. Looking good, pop up. Stop being cheap. Stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month? What are you doing now? No, Vanderbilt. You trained? Stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. WeAreDollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
So this is a founder of a company called DollarShave.com. Simple problem. He said, why does a person have to go every time and select a razor? I just want on a regular basis, once in 15 days, once a month, a simple razor. I don't want to be confused with triple, 4 times, 6 times, all of that stuff. Can I pay money on a monthly basis and on a particular date, let's say 1st and 15th, I get razors delivered to my house, which are usable. Simple idea, 2012 or 11 and 12 in that time frame. He and his founder partner started this firm. Simple idea. It was sold in 2016 for $1 billion cash to Unilever, I think. Cash. What is the idea? What is the problem he's trying to solve? Simple razors delivered to me on a regular basis, confirmed on this day. That's it. $1 billion cash, huge sales. What I'm trying to tell you is one doesn't have to have some rocket science idea to build a startup. It can be a simple idea, but if you're able to scale the idea, you can make really tons of money.
Hi, I'm Mike.
So I'll now share with you some of the stuff which we look at. What do VCs look at? We look at the founding team, very critical, the market size. We want a large market size. We are not interested in a market size which is tiny. which is a small, let's say, newborn in Vashi in a particular zone, uh, someone selling 8 grain bread. That's not what VCs look for. VCs are looking for some idea which will really grow a lot. What is the business model, and do have some advantage over the others? Is there a moat? Is there something which prevents other people from coming, or do you have a first mover advantage? And of course, VCs are in this for money. They of course nurture business ideas, and we get 20x returns is what we look for. Unless a VC does not see a 20x returns, if you're not providing an exit to a venture capitalist, he or she will not invest. It's as simple as that. He's not a financer. VC does not invest in your business to figure out what can go wrong. VC does not invest in your business to say that let me get control over the assets, let me hypothecate, let me do all of this stuff. If something goes wrong, I'll salvage something. Absolutely not. They don't think of what can go wrong. They always think of what can go right. And that can happen only if they look at a potential huge return. And then they have to understand, and you have to explain to the VC what is it that makes you different. Is it a technology? Is it pricing? Is it a scale which you're going to achieve? Are you creating some value? And again, the most important thing is what is the exit. When you start telling the VC that I have the best textile in the world, it is waterproof, it is shock proof, it is tsunami proof, it is electric proof, whatever proof, I really love it, I've spent 20 years spending, the VC is asking him in his mind or her mind simple question. Is this a right founder? Is this a large business? Will this person make me money? So it all boils down to that. You have to understand all these are important aspects to a VC. And when you go to a VC, your what is your mission is important. So I'll tell you an example. Some founders came to me and they started pitching their ideas, and they said, "We want to make this world a better place to live in." Who doesn't want? So I'm thinking in my mind, yes, you and I want. I want to ensure that this is a green world. I said, even I want. I'm thinking in my mind, what is your business idea? You have to be able to articulate a business idea. Your mission might be there. Are you going to disrupt the existing payment mechanism, for example? Are you going to do something which is far better in terms of a video collaboration system? What is the value proposition? An elevator pitch is very critical. So we train our startup founders to give elevator pitches of 3 minutes, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Anytime a person should be ready to give a pitch. Market size is very critical. VC likes a large market size. Within that market size, what is your addressable opportunity? What is the segment you're looking at? So let's say again going back to the bakery thing. Are you looking at just a very small part of the bakery section, or are you looking at a large part? The larger the addressable opportunity, the more likely your ideas will get funded. And it's not necessary that you're the very first one. There could be someone else, but you have to have a good analysis of your competition. What is your moat? What is the advantage over the competition? And are you causing any disruption which is allowing you to remain ahead? Do you have an IP? Do you have something which is so unique no one has even thought of it? Have you trademarked anything? All of these become very critical questions to answer. And even if there are established players, if you are doing some neo banking, I know after me Avinash is speaking, but neobanks are banks without any brick or mortar. Are you doing something which is better than established players? Is it just execution, a delivery, a go-to-market? All this needs to be articulated very, very carefully. Remember, if you're going to a VC, you're not going to a person who's financing you. You have to go, when you take VC funds, you are on a journey of wealth, not on a journey of income. If you want regular income, hitting your bank account, monthly expenses to be taken care of, this is not the journey you take care of. Startup founders go with very minimum salaries, go take a couple of years, but they are on a journey of wealth. They want to create a company which creates a lot of wealth for themselves and others. Ideally, VCs look for more than one founder. So if you have a co-founder, is better. And let me tell you this: if you are a startup, your stars are aligned in your favor. There's so much funding available. There's so much incubators available. There are people like IMC holding programs. Government is pushing money towards startups. The Prime Minister is talking of funding startups. The stars are aligned. Capital is chasing ideas. It's not the reverse. The reverse was happening 15 years back. Ideas were chasing capital. Today, capital is chasing ideas. And if you have a great idea, a great execution model, you should be able to get funding. Getting funded is not the success, it's the beginning of the road. Obviously, you have to execute. And VCs do not fund lifestyle business. What do you mean by lifestyle business? It's a business which funds your family, which funds your lifestyle, which funds your home. They are not interested in those businesses which give steady returns, which are good for you. They want businesses which truly scale. VC is a 1% business. We went through 1,000 pitch decks, 1,600 to be precise, and funded 10 companies. Out of every 100 companies we fund, we know 90 are going to fail. Only 10 will succeed. 90 won't fail totally. Let's say 50, 60 will fail totally. And only 1 out of 100 is going to be that massive success. So we are in the 1% business. So we're not interested in funding businesses which give regular returns, dividends. That's not what VCs look for. VCs look for businesses which can really scale. And today, being frugal is important. The way things have happened in the last 11 months or 10 months has taught a lot to entrepreneurs and founders. Founders have now realized that earlier risk was always a part of a business. Today, startup entrepreneurs have realized that uncertainty also has to be taken as part of business, and how to handle uncertainty has become another big thing. And let me end because this is a short one. I thought let me have just a quick 10 minutes kind of slide. When you go to a VC, remember life is a pitch. You have to keep pitching all the time. You have to have a 10-minute pitch, 5-minute pitch, 40 minutes pitch. How you project the pitch deck becomes the most important part. There's a short video I'm ending with, but I'm not sure. Let me try and see if there's some audio settings. If I can try and
Yes. And in the meantime, some of you were asking me to share. So this is 100x VC, their website. Please go and visit. I've just shared in the chat window for all of you.
yeah, sure.
They have email IDs and contact us. You could write to them there. Yes.
I didn't talk too much about a firm, but I can speak when the Q&A happens. I thought.
Yes, I think they would. Everybody here wants to know that also. So
Sure.
how.
Well, after
What is
Avinash
that you
speaks,
look
I
at?
will. Yeah.
Yes,
I'll
we
let
can
me
do that.
complete my
Yes.
thing. I am trying to see the setting seems okay. So I'll again try. If it doesn't work, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's. So this is Papa CJ is a very famous stand-up comedian.
Comedian.
He has given just 3 pointers on how to pitch. If you can hear well and good. Otherwise, I will tell you which website is available.
Again, the audio is very low. But what we will do is, yes, what we can do is this a link? Is this on YouTube? Is this? Yes. If you could share the link on the chat box. And also later we will mail it to all participants.
Sure. I'll stop sharing.
We'll do. Yes.
And
yes.
So that was it. It was a brief discussion, and I thought I'll keep it brief. Over to you. I'll talk about 100x after Avinash has spoken.
Yes. And all the, very interesting, very quick, but bang on the areas that we all want to know. He has touched on all the areas. So we'll come back to Ninad, and you can really go ahead with your questions, do that. But let's bring in Avinash. Avinash, over to you. Welcome.
Thank you, Sweta. I'm really honored to be a panel besides such a big name, Mr. Karpe. I have been reading about you. And even if this session would have come to me as an audience, I'm sure I would have attended it. Very nicely made initial pointers, sir. And that makes my role really easy. And it not just for the sake of saying. You have very well made the clarification in front of every audience that how startup in terms of equity, VC is different than a startup for a bank. You see, unfortunately in our country or maybe world over, bankers are termed to be a complex entity. And I agree with that. He spoke very nicely, one point after another, and you all are aware. If I were a banker, if I am a banker, and if I go upon the startup funding, I don't have much to speak about. Besides, yes, we have a startup product. So I'll go back and touch upon the age-old points that businesses, the MSMEs in our country have been coming across and probably have been failing across to get the right set of banking, funding, etc. So if I were to say, as Sir said, the success rate of startup from VC perspective is anywhere 0.25 to 1% in terms of a VC investing in a startup. That is a report that I came across through Harvard Business Review. However, I'm a little happy that when you talk of the banks, that's 8%. So despite all the halla in the market of our country that banks are not pretty keen, let me tell you, 8% of the SMEs are having bank lines, formal bank lines, which is not up to the global standard. And then why that failure? I thought better to check and better to share the failure point, the points which pressurize an MSME, a startup to fail. So I'm sharing those points and then probably we'll come on the success parts.
Yes, I think Avinash, you could go ahead and share. Once you share, this sharing, Ninad sharing will go off. So you can go ahead and share your slides.
Yes, no, my laptop is not working. I mean, last moment, I came on my mobile.
So if you, okay. So if you want me to share, you can quickly mail the presentation. I'll do it right away.
Sure, I had, oh yes, just a second.
Yes. Yes. So audiences, just give us a minute. Slight technology glitch. I'll get the presentation because Avinash was supposed to share it. So, but because he's facing a problem, he's just sharing it with me and I'll share it right away. Just give us a minute. In the meantime, I think Ninad, you could just stop sharing your screen. This is your
I thought
screen.
I had stopped. Let me just.
Yeah.
It's still sharing.
I have just sent it across.
Yeah, no problems. You can continue, Avinash. I'll just share this.
Shweta, is my screen still on or I thought it had stopped? Is it still on?
I don't know. Scheduling made easy. There is a screen that can. No problems. Anyways, I'll be sharing this presentation.
I've stopped, so maybe someone else's screen.
Okay.
Let me know if there's a problem. Sorry,
yes.
Avinash. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's fine.
Avinash, please go ahead. I'll just share.
So allow me to share. There are two definitions that I wish to share. One is your startup, and then you have the MSME. Though the startup is part of the MSME ecosystem, as a business also, the startup should get on the MSME registration. So how does a bank categorically tell you whether you are a startup or not? So the first is that you have to be registered with DPIIT. If you have not done that, and if you claim or if you want to be a startup, categorically, you please do that. Go and get yourself registered under DPIIT. Next one, Sweta, it is there. Yes. So of course, you be the founder alone, or maybe you have some partner. And as I said, what is the uniqueness of your product? What is the uniqueness of your services? Though as a bank, we would still limit ourselves on the business. As he very nicely said, that capital is chasing idea today. Unfortunately, the moment you talk of banking, bankers are still chasing good business. Because that fund that goes to you from banks is not the bank's own fund. A bank borrows from market. A bank borrows via bonds. A bank borrows from RBI and sometimes global investors and so on. So that happens. That is the basic difference. When you talk parking someone else's fund to someone, you become a little more cautious. You become more analytic driven than the pointers as simply as shared by Mr. Karpe. So I said DPIIT should be there. You should be very clear what's your product, what's your services, what is the uniqueness of it. Have you put in some money from yourself? If that is done, well and good. That of course you would do that, but that gives bankers some kind of confidence. Now, while we talk of fundraising, just another slide, Sweta.
Yes.
Yeah. So from fundraising debt side, the moment you talk of bank, it becomes a debt. When you go to right hand side, it becomes equity. Whether you talk of investors, any kind of investors, your friends, family, VCs. And since we are talking of Indian startups, allow me to touch upon stock exchanges, because we have, I, in the capacity of being a yes banker, we have signed an MOU with BSE's SME platform, which also has the startup platform. So I would be really happy if even one of you picks that part, that why stock exchanges are important for startup in our country. Though I would be limiting myself from debt side. So what is the factor? What are the factors of failing? I'll limit myself to debt size. Lack of information on program and schemes. Today, while I go out and I still have the courage and I still have the passion of meeting endless MSMEs, very kindly Sweta shared, and she was right. I still enjoy meeting MSMEs. That's how I come to know about market. That's how I come to know whether the shoe is pinching. So the maximum thing that I have been noting for last 16 years, I started my working journey. I started my career in 2004. And barring 5 years of these entire 16 years, I have been part of MSME ecosystem, catering to MSMEs and standing MSMEs. And from there, information has been maybe an attitude problem. To gather information about my own company, about the external world, it has been a limiting side with the MSMEs. No hand-holding experience to connect to banks. The chartered accountants, with all due respect, that though they take you to banks, those are their banks. They are connected to banks. I would suggest you should study which are the banks, and I'm sure out of 50, 60 banks, hardly 4 or 5 names would pop up when you try to find something about banks and doing something in startup part. So do that. Have a clarity on which are the banks which are talking of startup funding. That is limiting with our MSMEs. Third is not meeting the norms of banks. You see, banks come under huge purview of audit. It could be internal audit, it could be external audits. So there could be times that in you yourself feel that why these many things are being asked. But trust me, as a banker for last 5 years, I can tell you that half of the information that we ask, we cannot do away. They have implications of audit perspective, the RBI's perspective. So if a bank asks something, you can very well ask the rationale of that why this information is being asked, but you must share those information with us. Now, information asymmetry for banks, what do I mean when I say this? An SME talks very fondly about its business when he shares about others, that I'm very well known in this segment, I'm very well known in that segment, but that testimony is very, very rare. You saying about 10 people knowing you, can we have those 10 people writing just 2-liners about your business relationship with that person, beyond just being acquainted to each other? And then second is bank's perception of policy measures. I don't want to sound very smart. Yes, that is very true. Under the policy measures, under the audit measures, banks sometimes sound complex. And that I have added in one of the failing factors for the startup, for the MSMEs. Next slide, please, Sweta.
Yes, Avinash.
Right. So though the topic was art of fundraising, but there is some bit of science. And if you are talking of Indian market, it has to have science in it. It has to have scientific approach by the MSMEs, by the startups, irrespective of your experience, irrespective of your team size, you need to add that scientific angle into that. And what do I mean when I say that? I would repeat, limit yourself to only those banks which talk of startup funding. No need to talk about 50, 60 banks, nationalized, private sector banks, MNCs, cooperative. Don't go there. Just look out for 5, 6 banks. And then let me tell you, they are also looking for good startups because they have fund parked for startups. Now, second is ask for eligibility checklist well in advance. If I have started, if I were to be a startup today, I would go out to these banks and I'll ask for the eligibility criteria. How does a bank do the assessment of a startup? Assessment of an SME is different. Assessment of a startup is different. So be very, very careful that you are not given an umbrella checklist of MSME. You should have an MSME registration, but startup is a categorically different zone for banks. Now, third is, and this I have come across, this registration with DPIIT. This is very, very important. Though this is a very small line, but the significance in our country is huge. Go and register yourself as a startup if you haven't had that registration. Next, I am a big fan of government policies. We may talk good, bad, ugly of any government, but I'm a big advocate of government policies. I'm a big advocate that why we should have an MSME registration. I'm a big advocate that why we should have an NSIC registration, because all these things help you at one or the other point. If you are supplying to public enterprises, if you are supplying to Government of India, you can very well and you can very easily save on your EMD, earnest money deposits that you have to park while you want to be a supplier of any government or public enterprise. So the registration with NSIC, the registration as an MSME will help you save that cost of EMD. Then well informed on the utility and uses of products and services. As Sir said, you just can't say that I am coming up with this. What is the gap that you are meeting? And that language is equally well appreciated by banks. That don't just tell that I am into switch gear, or maybe I am into panel manufacturing for electric. You may very well say that my products would be sought after by automakers into for electrical vehicles. Now, this is a very big statement in itself. In coming years, we would see electrical vehicles all around, even in our country. So if you link that product of yours to this huge services, this huge demand, which is going to erupt anytime soon, that will be very well appreciated. Next is your strong network of startup companies. How many startups do you know? How many presentation by likes of Mr. Karpe have you attended? Or how many sessions have you attended of Mr. Karpe? You have to request him that, sir, please let me know which are your next session in next 2 months. Attend each and every session of his. That will give you enough of idea. That will give you enough of looking into way forward. And that will make you a strong part of a strong ecosystem. Last is candid and continuous discussion with bankers. I have been working in this domain for 16 years, as I told you. Be with Standard Chartered, Dun & Bradstreet, Care Ratings, and now Yes Banker, being a banker myself. I have always seen that the SMEs think of bankers only when they need money. They need bank fund, which is a big no. Even if you have a current account, never ever forget to go and spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes with that branch manager or with that relationship managers of yours. Keep checking on new products that bankers are coming forward to. You might be surprised to know that even your current account and saving account saves funding cost for you. Even that generates some kind of fund for you. There are banks which are giving you 5-6% even on your saving account, on your FD. So why do I park on 3.5% FD? Why not I should go to a bank, of course, with very good rating, A, AA, AAA, and if they are parking my fund and giving me return of 6.5, 6, 7, why shouldn't I go to that bank? Because the relevance of this topic as a startup or as an SME is multifold than a normal person, than a normal medium or large scale companies. They can afford to park at 5%, but you cannot afford to park at 5% if there are good banks paying you 6.5, 7% on your FD. So that's why I said candid and continuous discussion with bankers. So that I say some signs in the art of fundraising. Sweta, please next. So this is what I had to share in my initial presentation. Later on, we can very well delve into the detailing of question answer. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So now, let's go before people start asking questions. Okay, I can already see questions. We'll take up all those questions. But next, we'll go to Ninad. You will talk a little bit. We want to know about 100x VC fund. What do you specialize? What are the sectors that you look at? What is unique? What kind of companies? How they need to approach you and all of that. And yes, Avinash, also. Then to you to know Yes Bank. How Yes Bank, what is Yes Bank specifically doing in this sector? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. And Avinash, that was good. Very crisp presentation. Compliments.
Thank you.
So 100x, there are a lot of VC firms, and depending on the stage of your enterprise and depending on the theme of the VC, they both have to match. It doesn't mean you look for a fund and you go to any VC. You have to understand the VC, what the VC is doing. So what is 100x doing? We are the first check writers in a startup. We are a SEBI registered fund. We are the first institutional check. If there's some other institution sitting on it, we do not. So we are actually a discovery platform. We invest first, we mentor the startups, and then we have what we call a pitch day, where we allow other investors to come in. We have so far invested in 39 startups. We've gone through probably 4,000 pitch decks. We're a team of 5 people. We invest to something called iSafe note. Shweta, kind of highlighted in that. But iSafe, the full form is India's Simple Agreement for Future Equity. Fundamentally, we do not do a shareholders agreement. We don't take any board seat. We don't take any of those rights. It's a simple agreement. It's there on a website. There are a lot of tutorials on the website. We are able to, if we finalize a startup, we are in fact able to quickly sign an ISF within that day itself. It's a standard 4-page agreement. So it saves time, it saves legal cost, and it's very fast. We don't do valuation. We don't do any board seat. So after we invest, we stay invested in the company. We do not exit. We do not charge any professional fee from the startup. We do not charge any commission from the incoming investors. We are pure skin in the game investors. We make money only when we exit, which typically would take anywhere from 5 to 10 years time frame. So that roughly is what we are sector agnostic. It's not that we invest in tech only. In the last, we invest in batches. We call it class. In last class 03, we invested in a company which makes Kerala banana chips. We invested in a company which does, video translation of language in 50 language within minutes. So all kinds of companies, consumer companies, B2B, SaaS companies, all kinds of companies invest. We are sector agnostic.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Yes. Any questions here about 100x? Okay, they are, but I just want to tell all my participants, because we have limited time, be quick, introduce yourself, and then only ask your question, but be quick. Yes, I can see your hand. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and ask your question. And then I'll bring in Avinash. Yes. Yes, Vaishnavi, I think you have raised your hand. Is there a question that you want to ask? Be quick, please.
Yes. So this is Vaishnavi, founder of I'm a Genie as well as Cosmic One. So my question is to you, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
Ninad, sir. Yes. So morning also I edited a webinar by Mr. Sanjay Mehta of 100x VC, and I've also submitted the pitch to the 100x. There was a question that was unanswered by the sir because of the time constraint and the hard stop. The question is that the prevailing anomaly on pedigree funding. So how important it is for a female founder to override some established founder or who has been quit being a co-founder of some established funding company. So ours is an edtech which aims to disrupt the conventional educational method and wanted to come up with virtual schooling idea. So how is that important and how do you see that, sir? So how do we go through that?
Sure, it's not a problem. I think this pedigree funding is not a problem at all. We look at something. So, I mentioned earlier, we always look at what can go right. We look at, we are a future forward looking VC fund. We do not want to see if something has happened in the past. From now onwards, is there a massive opportunity? Is there a big market? Are you the right founder? Will we make 20x returns? If all that is ticked yes, you're set on the path. So not a problem at all.
Wow.
Done.
Wow.
Yes. Yes,
Thank you,
Avinash.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Vaishnavi, for your question. Avinash, quickly on anything specific about this funding that Yes Bank is doing, any schemes, any things that you want to talk about?
So during this month on 18th, we have launched a grand product proposition, set of grand product proposition. And for the first time, we have come up with startup fund. Though if you go on the government's website, you would find both these institutions, IMC and Yes Bank, as the partners of startup ecosystem in the state, which Maharashtra carries as the leader tag for the country out of the state rankings. So how we have come up that startup, of course, very rarely would they be having the collateral part. So we have said that 25 lakhs to 5 crore, we would be funding without collateral to startup. And you should have the registration, as I said, you should have the vintage of at least 2 years. Of course, a very strong team you would be looking forward to because banks would assess it differently. And incubator support, that would be looked with some positives. The ticket size I already shared. All kind of working capital facility would be provided under this. So startup ecosystems are welcome there. Besides MSME, that we are trying to position ourselves as a bank for the MSMEs. So we are catering there under CGT MSC, which is again a no collateral fund, under credit guarantee fund trust for micro and small enterprises. One quick thing and last thing in this, if you are an exporter and if you are still using that age-old funding of your cash credit and OD and still doing exports, time to change that stand very, very quickly. And we would be wonderful partners to that.
Yes. Okay. So, I think hopefully all the participants sign and they can see that Ninad has already shared the YouTube link of the conversation with Papa CJ. Please go and check this out. Keep this link for future references and you can send your pitch deck to them. He has shared the email ID in the chat window. Please go ahead and make these notes, but I'll make sure that all this is also goes to you in the email IDs if you've registered with us. So registering for these seminars is very important. Otherwise, we don't have your contact details. Okay. Now there is a question from Priyanka. Priyanka, if you would want to go ahead and ask, or else I can take up your question. That what are the kind of registrations there for service companies? Yes. And she also wants to know the link of registering to DPITT and also full form. Okay. Avinash, I think this question is to you. Priyanka is wanting to know what are the registrations for a services firm. And these links, Priyanka, don't worry, we'll help you.
Yes. So registration is for both manufacturing or services companies. So it will be the same format, same forms she has to fill and submit it to. And I'll just tell the website. I think this is dpiit.org. And every startup should spend time here.
Yes. Wonderful, Priyanka. Hope you have got your answer. Any now we can, it's all open to you. Please come in and if you want to ask any question.
Okay, so
Yes. Yes, Priyanka. Priyanka, I think you are on mute. Priyanka Sharma. Yes, please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question. In the meantime, I would want to see your questions in the chat window, or please raise your hand if you want to come forward and ask a question. This is a great opportunity. If you have questions regarding funding, you have had prior experiences, you can get it all cleared here. Priyanka, we are waiting for you. Yes.
Since
Can
I
you
was
hear us?
wrong, it is dipp.gov.in.
Okay.
dipp.gov.in.
Done. I hope everybody gets it. Yes. Suresh Kumar. Okay. So Suresh Kumar has a question. How can a startup who has no 3 years financial record get financial assistance? Yes.
So from bank side, we'll have at least 2 years. Beyond that, I may not comment on how to get fund. If you want to have this startup funding from my bank, that is Yes Bank, will have at least 2 years. Or if a family business is going on wherein you are part and this has come up saying 18, 19 months, 20 months, we can give it a try. But from banker side, that's the limitation, that you should have 2 years of vintage at least. And 1 crore
Yes.
of. Sorry.
Okay. And then difference between, okay, Professor Namrata, if you are here, there's a question. Difference between SME business loan and startup fund in Yes Bank.
So the moment you talk of SME funding, there are a lot of propositions which are coming from Government of India. We work very closely with SIDB, that is your Small Industrial Development Bank of India, better known as SIDB. Then, as I said, CGTMSE, Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises. So these are the products tailor-made for MSMEs, and we intend to help the MSMEs only. But the moment you talk of startup, as an SME, you would have some kind of vintage. If, as an SME, you may not have the registration with DPIIT, but as in startup, we expect that. Without that, we may not go ahead. So that registration is needed. That's the set criteria that a bank levies on before going into a fund. The MSME fund of any bank would be way, way bigger and larger than the startup funding kitty. So today, if you ask me what would be Yes Bank's kitty for startup, it would be in hundreds, not even in thousands. But the moment you talk of MSME, it can go up to as high as good MSMEs keep coming, and we will keep enhancing that kitty of MSME funding.
Wonderful. Okay. So Deepak Tupe. Mr. Deepak Tupe, you want to please introduce yourself and ask your question? Bio, I am going to start bio CBG plant, which is a future fuel. I need total project cost 30 crores. Okay. Startup registered in 2018. We have 2 years financial record. So what is your question, sir? Need funding?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, ma'am.
Please go ahead and ask your question. You would do justice to your question.
Yeah. Ma'am, in 2018, we have registered Gauja Health Services Private Limited. Under this company, right now we are working in health sector.
Okay.
Now we want to set up bio CBG, that is an alternate option for CNG, which is highly demanded in the future. And
Okay.
we have a very huge raw material available for this same project. Okay, and for that costing is 30 CR, and I need financial support for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, feel free. Both the
Yeah.
speakers, any one of you can come in
What
depending on the
is
question.
the last turnover that you have recorded, sir?
So last year we had 12.50 lakh.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fine. I mean, turnover criteria is 1 crore, so I'll have to quiet here on this. So
Okay,
any
that is the big problem for startups. That's initially we are working for low budget. Yeah.
So in that case, you can explore under the SME funding proposition than startup.
SME funding.
That's a suggestion from my side.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. Sir, my question is to Ninad, sir. In this case, how VCs can help us? Sir.
I think you have to unmute it.
Sorry. Yeah, it is a new idea, and you don't require 30 crores right away. And it's on in some period of time, VCs will invest. But VCs, so yours look like more like a debt equity funding kind of a proposition. But yes, you can always send your pitch deck to some VCs and see if they fund. no one will give you 30 crores upfront. So you'll have to figure out a plan. If you have a plan whereby you can get going with some funds, your idea is unique, and
Yeah.
you are showing something which is can really become huge.
Yeah.
VCs do take risk. VCs do take high risk.
Yeah, I have some plan also. Everything is ready. If I get your contact number or some VCs,
Yes, yes, he has already shared the email ID.
Yeah.
Deepak, we'll share it once again, but in the chat
Okay.
box, you already he has shared. You can please email your proposal to
Yeah.
them. I'm sure you will hear from them.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank
Okay,
All the
you.
great.
best. All the
Yes,
best.
yes,
Thank you,
yes,
sir.
yes. And I think all the participants who are not speaking can go on mute. I can hear some carpentry work happening somewhere, constantly. Yes, we can take up the next questions. Anybody else who wants to ask a question? Yes. Yes. Please introduce yourself and ask your question. I can see the hands. Yes, yes. Please go ahead, unmute yourself. I can see the hands. You have raised your hands. All the ladies are asking a lot of questions. Lady founders are really active. I appreciate that. Yes, please go ahead. What about the men? Yes, please.
Yeah, again, it was me to both of the speakers. So, in all these years of expertise, what do you look as a key aspect of a successful founder? Like, is that a persistence or something, some magic ingredient in them you look for? I've been hearing from all my mentors and big speakers like you, the energy which is there in the founder, but still, I wanted to know more. I wanted to know much more from your expertise side.
I think you have a lot of energy. Now, to this I can say before my experts come in. Yes.
Thank you, Sweta.
Yes, yes.
Oh, so let me give you, one word answer. Obviously, high energy is important, enthusiasm is important, being passionate is important. Uh, Post March 2020, so there's some carpentry work going on in a flat above my thing. So,
Oh,
that's why I keep.
I was,
No,
yes,
no.
I keep hearing this carpentry work. I was thinking who is doing it in the background. No
No,
problem. Absolutely.
so
Yes.
I that's why I keep muting when I'm not speaking. But when I'm speaking, you
Okay.
all have this
Okay. No,
background
absolutely no problem. No problem.
background
Yes.
kind of noise, but you'll have to pardon that. So
Yes.
all that was there post March 2020. If there's one word which founders should have, I would call it resilience. Resilience has become suddenly very, very critical. It's okay to move fast, but you have to be now resilient, and that's what we look at founders.
So from my side, as a banker, the very first meeting that you have with your banker about your business, about the ecosystem, and the transparency that you exhibit during that first meeting that exists till the time the loan is disbursed and till the time your relationship with that bank stays.
Wow. Thank you both. Thank you both so much, sir.
Yes, Priyanka, your question. You are raising your hand. Please go ahead and ask your question. Priyanka, you have to unmute yourself to ask a question, please. Yes, Jagdish. I think Priyanka, I don't know. Maybe Priyanka, you're facing an audio problem because you've not been responding to me. You can put it in the chat window. I'll take it up. So Jagdish, yes, please go ahead, introduce yourself and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Jagdish here. This question is to Ninath sir. Sir, can you explain me, see, when there is an exit?
Please talk a little bit. Just introduce your business in one line so that he gets a perspective.
Yeah,
Yes.
hello. I am in a diagnostic field having a center, 7 center from Thane till Panvel. I wanted to know, see, you are telling that you VC are looking for an exit, but exit should be given by whom? From the founder or from the VC perspective, who is going to look for the exit?
So our exit is not overnight. It's a 10-year journey, 8-year journey. So what happens is typically, Jagdish, is if your business is growing rapidly, you always have new fundraise, and when the next investor comes, they give exit to the first. Or you can always have an IPO as well, IPO. So just as a matter of interest, Jagdish, we have funded a company last year in December called the Renal Project, they're setting up micro dialysis centers in Bombay and across Maharashtra and across India. Micro dialysis, just 2-3 centers. So that just to give you a flavor, because people always think VCs only invest in tech companies. No, answer is no. It's micro dialysis 3 centers called the Renal Project. You can have a look and you can reach out to me for any further discussion.
Yes, we would share your details,
Sure,
all the
sure.
details,
Thank
so
you,
you
sir.
could definitely do that. Yes. Yes, iPhone. Now there is an iPhone raising hand. Priyanka raising hand. Jagdish, if your answer is done, you can put your hand down. Please go ahead. iPhone, I would always say, when we are doing these meetings and this has become a part of our lives, why not have your names, your company names, and we know your devices. We want to know you. Please go ahead and ask your question. iPhone, yes. Dr. Radhika, yes, I can see you. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Namaste, this is Dr. Radhika. So my question is that I'm working from 4-5 years. I have my music foundation. I wrote in the chat about it, but I have not taken any kind of registration all these years because people are saying, why do you need the registration? Jabki tumko koi fund, you don't need any fund. So we were doing lot of concerts of Indian music, lots of competition. I taught almost thousands of students. So, but I don't have any records, like not like financial records because I have current account, but I was using my saving accounts, and I have not taken any kind of fund, no registration. So what should I do now? Which kind of registration should I go for the Music Institute, and how to go for the funding and everything else?
Very, very big question, but little bit. You people could help her. But Radhika, ये जो लोग आपको कहते हैं, ये कौन से लोग हैं? सही लोगों से advice लिया करो. Always from day one,
Yeah,
have things in place. It is good to be registered. इसीलिए,
Yeah.
advices matter a lot in life. Go to the right people. Yes.
So I'll just touch on small aspect of that, Sweta.
Yes.
See, in larger cities like Mumbai, we have flat number or the building number and all. But if you talk of the larger chunk of India, the smaller cities, isn't it a good idea to put my name and maybe my father's name, and he worked with the bank, so that isn't it a good idea to have that? If someone wants to reach me out or reach my father out, isn't it a good idea in any locality to put your name and bank's name and put at the gate? So that happens with why. See, there are different basics of any business. In that case, then what is the need of the name? What is the need of registration of a vehicle? Right. You have MH01 something, what is the need? So once you start thinking from that perspective, that gives you a recognition.
Right.
We work for everything. We work for money. We work for some kind of recognition. So these things start subtly give you recognition, which helps you on one particular day. And before that, it doesn't help you. Or you think that it is not helping me. But one fine day, it helps you when you are in that need of help, big time. So that's why registrations are needed. It tells how resilient your country is. Every MSME tells that government of India has these many MSME as registered. That's how big MNCs come to your country. Right. That how many auto component manufacturers are there in our country. That's when a big auto company comes to our country. The likes of Pune, Aurangabad, Nashik, all these companies are registered, and also they are told to register to make your sector resilient, to make your country look and be named resilient. So go for these registration. It helps you, it helps your country.
Right. I think, yes, Dr. Radhika, CS can completely guide you on this, so here some registrations aap karwa lo. If there is anything specific, please go ahead and ask.
Yeah. Which kind of registration should I take? It's a MSME registration?
Yes, आपको उद्योग आधार लेना पड़ेगा ना?
Okay, fine.
Yes. But I'll connect you to somebody who can exactly help you on this.
Okay.
Please talk to experts, get all these registrations, your contracts, all minimum things if you really want to scale up. Now, yes, Advocate Dr. Rajkumar, please go ahead and ask your question, sir. Startup scheme should require, okay, now 2 registrations. Okay, so what is your question, sir? Advocate Dr. Rajkumar, is this what you want to say? So you have written startup scheme should have only 1 registration. Why DP, IIT and income tax and all of that? So abhi hai ye registrations. I don't know what answer my panelists would give to or would want to give their view, but ye registrations hai to karna padega. Income tax, matlab that's different. But yes, any one of you would want to take up this question.
No, Dr. Rajkumar is my senior from college and in profession.
Okay.
He knows better than me, so he can raise the question and answer it himself.
Okay.
He's, I think he's just raising a point, saying that eventually it should be 1 registration. I think it's a fair point.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it's a fair point.
Fair point. That's so. He always he's raising a question for which we have no answer, but he's making a valid observation.
Yes, valid observation, sir. Like what I said on this forum, there is not much that we can do about this. Okay, so there is a question from iPhone whether 9-year-old entity can be registered as a startup.
I read somewhere that up to 10 year you can register yourself as an startup.
Okay. And I think this question has been answered, but is there something that you still want to know, Professor Namrata? What are the minimum requirement for application of startup loan with Yes Bank or 100x VC? I think both of them have answered. What is that you want to specifically know, Professor Namrata? Yes, Priyanka Sharma, you can go ahead and ask your question. I have been waiting for you. Please unmute yourself. Please.
Yeah, hi. Yes, hi. Good
Yes.
afternoon to everyone. Yes, so my name is Priyanka Sharma. I have this startup called Colic Camp. We are into homestays and villas, which we provide on short-term and long-term rental. So yes, we are registered as a startup by DIPP. And I would want to ask a question that what government schemes are available for women entrepreneurs? So my startup is 4 years old. And is it that Yes Bank have any such schemes currently for women entrepreneurs?
Yes, ma'am. We have funding for women entrepreneurs.
Can I request others to go on mute, please? Can I request other participants to please go on mute? Yes. Yes, Avinash, please go ahead.
So as of now, we have not bifurcated this startup funding thing. So if you wish that we explore this, we can have one-on-one, or I can ask the team in your locality to go and meet.
So, Avinash's contact details and everything also we'll share with all of you who have registered. I just wanted to quickly know, yes or no, that all of you who have come earlier, are you getting our emails, invites and all the details? Please
Yes,
let me know
very much.
yes or no. Acha, okay,
Yes,
great. So
yes.
Avinash's details will also go. There is Avinash and Vijay in the team, Yes Bank team. They will take up your problems one-to-one. Okay. Acha, so Professor Namrata says that both of the speakers have so quickly, last time they want to understand from both of you, what is a must-have? What are the basic 3 things or must-haves they should have before they approach to you for funding? Both 100x VC and Yes Bank. As a startup, yes. That's the question that she's asking.
Yeah, to the question before that, which was asked on women entrepreneurs, there are VC funds, not many in India, which really want to promote and which actually fund only women entrepreneurs. So it doesn't come to my mind quickly, not many, but you can Google and check. In fact, outside India also there are. We fund both. I mean, obviously, we want to promote women entrepreneurs, and in each of batch, we have at least 30% which are women entrepreneurs. But yes, you can come to 100x. We don't have separate only women entrepreneur fund, but there are funds which are only women entrepreneurs. So that's on the first question. The second one, what do we look for? The founder and the person behind the startup. Big market size, is it huge? And can both of us make money? 3 simple propositions. And what can go right? We don't look at what can go wrong. We are VC. We don't take collaterals. We don't take shareholder agreement. We don't do valuation. We are the first institutional investor. We have a different mindset. We believe when we fund that each of our startups can truly become big.
Yes, Avinash must have.
I'll just add one point that as a banker, we would like to see the papers also.
Yes, yes, yes. So, these are completely two different schools. You have to get the difference and you should know where to go to based on what
I
you
must compliment you, Shweta. You've got yin and yang in the same panel discussion. You balanced everything properly.
Yes, that is very important because both these things we see there is so much out there about VCs, and banks are an integral part of our lives. Problems hai to banks ke paas jana hai. We have issues, so many different issues, but so we have to know, and lot is happening in this. I in fact know about the 18th initiative that just Avinash spoke about. Yes, Meera, yes, I'll just mute you. And so you should go and check it on their websites and do. And I would request all of you to spend some time on your own research. Yes, the next question. Must have. What is 100x equity-based funding? Yes. They are a VC, Priyanka. Good choice of speakers. Thank you so much. Thanks for the compliments, but our speakers are getting it directly from you. That is lovely. If in fact you would want to appreciate, but please go ahead and ask your questions. We still have some time remaining, last 15 minutes. So let's make the best use of it. Yes, there are a lot of questions in the chat box. So if I'm missing anything, please unmute yourself and ask. Yes, Priya, Harshvardhan. Priya, Harshvardhan, I can see both of you raising your hand. So I'll ladies first. Priya, please go ahead with your question.
Hello, sir. My question is to Avinash ji. Hello, sir. Good evening. It's already 5 left. So my question to you is, my company has been started into retail trading. We are into garment industry. We have started a business in 2019, but now we want to launch our own brand, our own collections of designers. Now, due to COVID cases, we could not launch our brand. Now we want to start our own brand from this year itself. We are having our market size. Now since 2019 we started, we were totally new. Now how can I have all the other than DPIIT, I have all the registrations, all the certificates in hand. I have GST payment done and all. But my turnover since 2019 was not to the mark, but I do want to start it from now. Can Yes Bank help me in funding of financial or
Yes.
provide me some financial support?
Sure. Thank you for asking. I have been using this word registration because of the title of the event. If you are an MSME, you not necessarily go out just like that and register yourself as a startup. If you want to run your business and which is doing fine, your ideas are very well on paper, any bank will fund you. Bank doesn't fund you just because you are an MSME or you are a startup. No, we don't look at that. We look at the business part. So yes, you are already there for 2 years. On the basis of GST also we can fund you. We don't need much paper. We have a product which is linked on GST file returns. On that we submit you and just KYC papers. So on that also we can connect and we can discuss it further.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
So
very
Priya,
much.
we will share the
Yes.
details of Avinash and his team. You can always get in touch. Yes, Mr. Harshvardhan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Harshvardhan, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
My question is in regards to an individual who wants to be aspiring to be an entrepreneur, has an NPA history. It could be almost like a year, 2 years, 3 years back. Now, whatever the NPA was supposed to be recovering and to be returned back as an appreciated amount to an individual has been given. There was a tax holiday also announced by the government for having this kind of an investment brought in and being an entrepreneur. But then if in case the entrepreneur doesn't have to, no, not able to have that particular tide survived and the business has incurred a loss. In this kind of scenario, Mr. Ninad, I would like to ask you that is it possible for a bank to do something in this way? And that particular history which was there of an NPA can be overlooked, an entrepreneur can be brought up back into business.
I think you're asking this question to Avinash. He's from the bank. Yes, yes.
I'm sorry.
Avinash?
I'm sorry, I
Yes.
goofed up.
No, no, no problems. Absolutely no problem. Yes.
So I'll just summarize. You want to ask that if a company has had some NPA in the past, can a bank look up to that, right?
The company has NPA individual who now owns a company but is in loss.
Yes, here, Harshvardhan, I think there is a bandwidth issue. You can put your video live. That will help you audio actually. Yes. Yes, Avinash.
So if you ask me the probability, the loss-making units don't get much attraction by the banks. So that's I don't want to tell you something which is not the fact. So as loss-making unit doesn't attract us.
Okay.
No, understood. See, there could be a number of reasons behind, for example, a mask making, which has been just a boom after this particular thing happened, almost like a year back. So maybe this kind of industry was not given that kind of a helping hand earlier, but now it is an industry, a big industry. So keeping that in mind, something which is going to be forecasted is this is an industry, like automobile industry. Maybe we can speak about e-vehicles, battery operated vehicles. So based on those lines, if there is something else which is going to be like an add-on to this industry, in that industry, that particular entrepreneur should definitely be able to get a room so that he can establish himself, but over a time, because there would be a change of the phase.
No,
That's
I
what my
agree with
idea is.
that. I agree with that. This thing, I mean, such things do happen, do take place, but banks in general do that to existing clients because they are aware of the track record. They are aware that this has happened because of certain external factors. Internal factors are all intact, well in place. So external factors, and to share with you just 1 minute more on that, there have been hundred of MSMEs wherein the turnover has gone down, but still we helped them with that 20% which government announced for every bank to help during the lockdown. So even when their turnover went down, I'm sure some of them might publish their losses also, but to those customers which have been banking with us, we may not say that no, from this year we would not do the renewal with your companies. But a new company which comes from outside, to them banks are cautious. But yes, your point well taken, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
So,
you very much. Thank you.
I think everybody please watch the chat window. Ninad has shared an article about VC funds, firms available for funding women entrepreneurs. Please use this information. Now, any other questions? I have a quick question to both my speakers here. So, funding, debt ho, equity ho, it is a very time consuming. It's a dedicated process. Now, in case of a settled MSME business where they know that is separate, but in case of a startup where anyways your bandwidth, resources, everything is limited, what is the right time to go for it? Looking at testing your model, looking at a certain client size, doing some acquisition, what pilot, and then, going about and getting the fund is okay, but getting the fund at the right time and all, how do you decide about that? Because the founders have to be involved, so how do you do it? When should you do it? Till what time should you wait?
So let me go first.
Yes.
Firstly, I have been sharing links of firms which fund the women-led startup. Doesn't mean we don't fund. Please do come to 100x as well. Not necessarily only to these firms. We'll be always happy to get your pitch deck, whether it's women-led or men-led. It's not an issue for us. But yes, I thought I will, in the interest of knowledge, I'll share all this. So what is the right time to go to VC? See, when you start your business, you have to make up your mind. You want to go for a bank for funding. It thinks differently. It's a very well-oiled machine. The way it works is known for decades. So you know how it funds. You know the parameters. You require a history, 2-year history, 1-year history, 3-year history, whatever. So you can plan accordingly. So banks is a different set of funding. Overall, I can tell you that debt fund is always the long term. If your business is doing well, the cost to you is lower. Equity is not a cheaper funding overall. And I'm telling you, despite us funding equity, I'm sure this music to the ears of my friend Avinash, but I'm telling you, this is not what I say, it's a basic theory of finance. Why, when should you go to VC fund? And why should you go to VC fund? We take risk. We don't, take all the kind of parameters and collateral and all of that. We take high risk. We are ready for high rewards. If you want to go to VC, remember, be very careful not to part your equity. Don't give to your neighbors, friends, husbands, this 2%, 5%, 10%. It doesn't work. Own your entire equity. Be very, very selective before giving your equity. VCs just don't like 200 people sitting on your cap table and then coming for fund. Number one. Number two, your stage of your stage of your company decides which VC you have to go to. We are early stage funders. We have even funded companies which are just an idea. We have funded a company called Pocketly, Pocketly, of two young college students in the last year, which had an idea of giving small loans to college students. It was just an idea. We have funded early stage VCs. We have funded, early stage startups. We have funded a little bit revenue. So we are the first early stage people. Then if you want to come to us, you have to come at that time. If you have an established business and you want to go to a VC, there are different VCs who come at a slightly mature stage. But remember, these are very different roads. Nothing is right or wrong. You have to decide what applies to you. We claim we are very fast. If things go well, it's a 4-page document. There are times when we are signed off within 2-3 hours. It's as simple as that. So it's a different process. Nothing is good or bad. There's no hard and fast rule. Bankers have a right in their own way. We are right in our own way. Within VCs, you have to then see which is the right VC for you. Early stage, mature stage, late stage, and then go accordingly. So these are broad guidelines. If you're going to a VC, be very careful about parting any equity. You and your co-founder ideally should hold 100% when you go to a VC. If the more you part, the lesser chance the VC has of coming in the equity table. These are very, very broad guidelines. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. Avinash and me are both on his behalf also. I can tell you, you can connect with us on LinkedIn and always connect and we can respond to you. So these are broad parameters. Avinash, over to you.
Yes, Avinash, there is also a question from Manish Jain to Yes Bank. So that also is something that you have to take up. Do we have? Yes, Manish, if you could go ahead and ask your question. Yes, because it is to Yes Bank.
Yeah, thank you both the speakers. This question is for Avinash sir. Actually, we are into agro commodities and we have to pay farmers on upfront and on the directly cash, and then we get the payments after 10 to 15 working days. So we need this working capital because to scale up, we need this working capital for all our job processing, logistic. So is there any fund like that where based on invoicing from the enterprise, like we have got a bill from any big enterprise, based on that, we get a fund and then we pay back again that way?
Yeah, so we have bill discounting facility connected to that, but I think your question, we have a very, very strong agro banking team, very strong. And I think we could have been one of the pioneers in doing that. So please reach out to me. I would be happy to take you to the right teams. And from there also the discussion can come to different pointers. On the first part that Mr. Karpe has, probably, sir, I'm honored to be sitting along with you. And I am more of a listener today, to be very honest with you. I was keen to listen to you rather than speak. But since I'm a speaker, I'm doing that. And I love doing that when it comes to MSME, because I have slogged hard for the last 16 years and I feel I can do some value addition. So there is no right time as such for any MSME to come to banks. The day you are conscious enough that I am now strong enough to borrow and I am strong enough to repay, that day is fine for you. Otherwise, there is no good weather or bad weather. If you can manage your business on your own, nothing like it. But if you have some aspirations to grow to that point, then you need support of banks. Then on your own fund, you cannot grow much. but that day you come to us, you need fund, आप एक कर्जदार हो जाएंगे इसके बाद. Don't forget this. और आप कर्जदार होना पसंद करेंगे? Would you like a tag of borrower against you? If mentally you are prepared to repay that, come to any bank.
Wonderful. Any last questions? So, if there are any last questions that you would want to ask. Okay, because I had a quick last question for both my panelists today. So, you spoke about founders, you spoke about a founding team. Essentially, that is, but founding team, what is the kind of combination that you look at? You just said that we don't want too many people in the business. But when you are looking at a founding team, and it's, what are the challenges that we face? So, what kind of alliances should we look at? Sometimes you may not have a founder from day one, you're getting a co-founder, you're getting in experts into your business. So how should you look at it when you really want to take your business to the next level?
You've saved the best for the last. The toughest question has come right at the end when I was relaxing, saying it's all over, session is done, and I can go to my cup of coffee.
Our participants are so active, I could not ask any questions that I had listed. So I thought one question, chalo, this was there on top of my agenda. Yes.
The point I was making is you can have 4 founders, 5 founders, co-founders, not a problem, and 4 or 5 of them can have equity stake. I was saying outside of the founding team, be very careful of parting equity if you're going towards a VC route. Bankers are always happy if the equity, and I'm speaking generally, I'm sure Avinash will correct me, he's a seasoned banker. Bankers are generally happy if the equity base is very large. So it doesn't matter whether it comes. But VCs do not want non-founders unnecessarily parked on the equity table, which then creates problems of raising future rounds, because you have to raise future rounds of money on the equity. So equity is limited. So that was the point I was making. So what kind of founders, if you have 4 founders, all of them into marketing, I'm just throwing an example, it doesn't work. You have to have complementary skills. Today, in an ideal situation, one founder ought to be a tech co-founder, because whether it's a bank which Avinash is part of, whether it's a consumer company, technology is business, and everything else is slapped on top of it. So tech related stuff is all very ideal. So firstly, it doesn't matter number of founders. Important is complementary skills. Ideally, one of them should have good tech skills. These are broad guidelines. Yeah, over to you, Avinash.
Very rightly said, sir. I did speak of information asymmetry, and that goes from internal to external as well. So the technocrats are very well welcomed by banks. At the same time, understanding of finance is equally appreciated by banks, Sweta, and I'm sure you know this. So there should be a team which complements each other, as sir said. A bank would be comfortable talking to a technocrat about his business, but how they would manage their cash flow is equally important. And that is something a team should have.
And how much weightage do you really give to partners? Okay, this is the founding team, but we may have some good service partners. Technology could be a good service partner. We will have a lot of core functions, like you said. We may be using outsourced CFO services. I'm just giving an example. So, if we don't have the expert in-house and we have really hired professionals, good companies who are doing a good job, do you really give weightage to this parameter?
Very much. We were trying to fund a company based out of Patna, and they were not meeting the criteria. But the kind of companies that company was supplying to made us go beyond all the criteria. And we almost funded them. But they didn't meet one criteria which we didn't have in our entire credit policy.
Okay.
So what kind, that is what I sir would say. I'm sure he should be called on a session on importance of ecosystem. I'm sure he would love to deliver on this kind of background that he possesses. So the importance of ecosystem is growing like anything. You name any successful company in the world today, be it on any scale, and you just see the ecosystem. The supplier, the buyer, the MOUs that they have signed, the tie-ups that they have signed, the other products they're trying to cater to from their own company. These are amazing. And you would forget that this company is into X product. So the ecosystem is very, very strong.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Sir would also appreciate the part of mentorship. In our country, this has not been taken very, very seriously. But best of the companies, best of the CEOs openly accept this fact that they have been hugely helped by something called mentorship. Whether they don't, write in their CV, but there have been CEOs who you just see how Mr. Ramcharan's session gets booked for months in advance. So the ecosystem is to be taken very, very seriously, irrespective of the size of the company, irrespective of the individual.
Wonderful. Yes. Your views. Thank you, Jagdish. Yes. Yes, Ninad, please.
No, I think I made my point. So, Avinash is also complimented. So that's it from me.
Okay, wonderful.
And
wonderful. So, it's 5:30. I would want to thank both the speakers on behalf of all of us as entrepreneurs, primarily, and then on behalf of IMC for doing this, taking out this time and taking up every question so diligently. And wonderful to see so much of participation and all of you giving your compliments to the speakers. That's a wonderful way. Gratitude is very important in life. And technology, when we were talking about technology, see, because of a Zoom, you have access to Avinash, you have access to somebody like Ninad, and you are able to reach out to them. So technology is I think it is actually, technology brings in democracy in a country like ours. All of us have equal rights and access. So I promise that all of you, if you have registered your email IDs, please go ahead and do that, or share your email IDs right away. We will make sure that you get the details of 100x VC, their email IDs, and where you can send the details, and also Avinash and his team's contact details, and also the invite for our upcoming session on Wednesday, which is on sales and marketing. So stay tuned in, block your Wednesdays at 4 p.m. for this, and also invest time in yourself, do the preparation. You have all such people there in the ecosystem to help you, and that's the idea of organizing and coming together. Thank you so much, both our speakers, and thank you. You've been a wonderful audience.
Thank you for inviting, and I'm always available on LinkedIn. You can connect with me anytime. Thank you, Sweta, for organizing this and getting people from two diverse backgrounds. So there was total complementary skills, so to say, over here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Avinash. Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. Bye. Bye. Take care, all of you.